We are ready for some high school baseball in the state of Florida on a Thursday night as the 7-9 Riverdale Raiders return home to duel against their Class 7A District 12 rival, the 10-5 Estero Wildcats. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's varsity baseball contest on the Riverdale Raiders Broadcast Network. I'm Nick Rush giving you the call of this evening's action live from Pringle Field on the campus of Riverdale High School in Fort Myers, Florida, as these two teams hope to compete in a successful ball game tonight, as there have been some rain showers located around the southwest Florida area all throughout the afternoon. Very overcast evening here at Pringle Field. Ominous skies, but it seems like those stormy clouds are moving away from the ballpark towards center field, and that's good news as we are just about set to go for this ball game. Your starting pitcher on the mound for the Riverdale Raiders is going to be number 4, Hunter Tinsley. He is a left-handed hurler, and he is moments away from his first pitch as he has thrown the last of his warm-ups on the mound. And his first batter is going to be Evan Wedlock. Wedlock is a center fielder wearing number 4 on his back, a left-handed swinger for Estero. Tinsley gets the message from the catcher Tyler Prell. Winds and releases home. Wedlock tries to lay down a bunt, but that's going to go unsuccessful. He holds back in time for a ball 1, and we are underway with your first pitch at 7:03 p.m. Here's his 1-0. That's going to be chopped high up down the left field line, and that's going to be gloved up for your first out of the ball game, as the left fielder Matt Hardy is able to track in that ball towards left center, and that's an F7 in the scorebooks for Evan Wedlock.
Zach Neese.
And Zach Neese will follow up the second baseman. Evan Wedlock, Zach Neese, and Brody Howe will be your 3 men due up here in the first. Kevin Long will be cleaning up. He's playing in the catching position today for Estero. Opening pitch to Neese is going to be a ball 1. Batting 5th, it's Tanner Sherman playing first base. The left fielder Brian Lawhon is in the 6th spot. 7th, it's Nash Stiegman, the right fielder. And the ball 2 comes into the corners. Nick Caro will be batting in the 8th spot as a designated hitter, and John O'Hearn, the shortstop, will be batting last to close out the 9-man order for Estero, coached by Gary White, the manager. Ball 3 comes in down low, and the next one on the way is a ball 4. A 4-pitch walk for Zach Neese puts him on first, and he is the first base runner of the game for Estero.
For the Wildcats, third baseman number 3, Brody Howe.
So Brody Howe steps into the right hand of the batter's box with 1 out and 1 man on first as we are just underway here at the top half of inning number 1. Your score is 0-0 between the Riverdale Raiders and the Estero Wildcats. And varsity baseball action, live from Pringle Field at Riverdale High School. Hunter Tinsley on the mound. Release is off the right hand, and that's going to plummet into the dirt. Early on in this ball game, seems like Tinsley's having a little bit of a difficult time trying to find that strike plate. The pitch that follows up is right down the middle for a strike 1. Just moments ago, we mentioned some of that cloudy weather in the area. As of right now, it seems like there's not too much of a threat of rain. It is a pretty windy night anyhow. 1-1. That is a high fly ball out to right center field. It may be caught, it might not, and it bounces at the warning track. This could be trouble. Ball cut off. That Daniel Kaler at the shortstop position. Runners are going to be held around, and that is a double out to right center field by Brody Howe. That is going to extend Zach Neese over to third. A courtesy runner will be on second for Howe.
Next batter for the Estero Wildcats, catcher number 13, Kevin Long.
Kenneth Long is going to be your batter up on the way. And time is going to be called as Kevin Long is going to step out of the bag. He's a right-handed hitter. His opening pitch. Check swing by Holds back to start the count at 1-0. Your weather report. 77 degrees. Your wind is blowing from right to left at 3 miles per hour. Humidity recently has gone a bit stronger here as we get into your spring months. And another strike rolls in to tie the count at 1-1 for Long. Humidity up to 77% tonight. There is a 50% chance of precipitation, which I checked earlier, but that is all throughout the southwest Florida area. It may rain in this area of the city, or it may not. So it's a little bit of a mystery, but as of right now, it seems like the clouds are moving northwest from the press box direction back behind home plate. Ball 2 is too far down. Hunter Tinsley pitching here at the top of the first. Just moments in your ball game. It's 0-0 between Riverdale and Estero. And your varsity baseball action on a Thursday night. Now here's a ball 3 to the edges. Meanwhile, you have runners on second and third for Estero. Zach Neese on third. Brody Howe on second. And here's a strike banged in up the gut. Thanks for tuning in to the Riverdale Raiders Broadcast Network once again for tonight's ball game on the Riverdale Raiders Broadcast Network. This is Nick Rush giving you the call. Here's a called strike 3 right down the middle as Kevin Long watches a fastball go right by him for a backwards K.
First baseman number 18, Tanner Sherman.
That was a nice long duel there between Kevin Long and Hunter Tinsley on the mound, but he's able to just put one right down the middle. Tinsley's starting to get a little more comfortable on the mound, as you can see, easily reaching the strike zone as he does it for the first pitch on Tanner Sherman, your fifth batter on the order and the fifth batter of the inning. Sherman is a first baseman on the Estero defense. This is chalked high up out the left field. We'll tell you about what happened in a minute. This is out the left field. Matt Hardy going out towards the warning track to make the catch. For out number 3. What happened there is your public address system accidentally went off playing some music before the pitch, but accidents happen, but Matt Hardy's able to make the snag for out number 3 out in left field. And just like that, it's still 0-0. Bottom of the first we go between the Raiders and the Estero Wildcats.
15, Daniel Kaler.
Daniel Kaler is your batter at the top of the order for the Riverdale Raiders as we enter your home half of the first inning, where your score is 0-0 between the Riverdale Raiders and the Estero Wildcats in varsity baseball action from Riverdale High School. First pitch from the right-handed Kaler. Or let me reword that. First pitch to Kaler, the right-handed swinger, is going to be chopped foul to the backstop. Here's the following pitch, rung up for a strike 2. Your starting pitcher for the Estero Wildcats is a left-hander on the mound, Nate Gillen. Kaler steps up tall, 0-2 on the way, and that barely misses to the sides. It's now time to tell you about the batting order for the Riverdale Raiders. Shortstop Daniel Kaler, left fielder Matt Hardy, and Tyler Prell. The catcher will be your 3 men due up here at the bottom of the first. Kaler misses a pitch low to tie up the count at 2-2. Hunter Tinsley will be cleaning up. He's the pitcher in this ball game. The DH Colton Seitz is 5th, and the 6th spot it's Joel Velez playing third base on the defense. Here's another pitch wide for another ball. Batting number 7, it's Tyler Gertman playing right field on the defense. Center fielder Tyler Yeager is 8th, and batting last, it's Brendan McNabb, the second baseman. So after starting with an 0-2 count, Daniel Kaler now has a full count on his hands. A little bit of a chat on the mound between catcher Kevin Long and pitcher Nate Gillen, but that is going to subside, and here's Gillen with the payoff. That's a high fly ball down the first base side, and that's going to be a single in the form of a line drive for Daniel Kaler, and that's a leadoff base hit for the Raiders at the home half of the first.
Batting next for your Raiders left fielder, number 9, Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy now steps up, hoping to get the Raiders off to a nice start here at the bottom half of the first. It's still scoreless here, but this sure is going to be an exciting ball game here, I can tell you that. It's your first of 3 ball games and a spring break series, and we will tell you a little bit more about that throughout the course of tonight's ball game, but this is going to be a bunt attempt backwards for a foul ball. Well, spring break has started today for the Raiders after school. This morning, they started the last day of school before the big spring break. They get all next week off of school. Anyhow, they will not get the week off from baseball necessarily. Monday and Tuesday are when the Raiders are going to be in action. They'll play Barron Collier on Monday, Tuesday night against Fort Myers. And those games are both going to be played here at Pringle Field. This is a bunt right down the middle, and it goes perfectly. The pitcher, Nate Gillen, threw over the second in an attempt to eliminate Daniel Kaler trying to take second. But he beats out the throw, and Hardy is now on first. But yeah, Gillen, he just put all of his attention on second base, trying to eliminate Kaler, that Hardy was able to sneak by first without a throw. And now here's Tyler Prell trying to lay a bunt down. Goes successfully down the third base side. The throw to first is going to beat out Prell for out number 1 here at the home half of the first. But now the Raiders have 2 men in scoring position. And Hunter Tinsley's hoping to put the Raiders on the board first.
Pitcher number 4, Hunter Tinsley.
And to all 3 games here in the spring break series. They will all start at 7 p.m. and they will all take place here at Riverdale High School. So keep that in mind and be sure to come out and join us next week for some spring break fun, I like to call it. Hunter Tinsley watches a pitch go low. Ball 1. Tinsley focuses in. Second pitch on the way, and that barely sneaks in from down under. 1-1. Just ready to go at the home half of the first in this ball game between Riverdale and Estero. 0-0 score, but seems like we have some great talent on both teams thus far. Hack and a miss makes the count 1-2 on Tinsley. At the top of the first, we saw Estero get runners on second and third. Anyhow, no one was able to come home. Zach Neese was on third, Brody Howe was on second, and it looked like Estero might have had the potential to take the lead, but Tanner Sherman couldn't get anything going. He flew out to left field for the third out. Throw over the first from the second baseman will retire Hunter Tinsley, but the runner, Daniel Kaler, comes home from third to score, and it's 1-0 Raiders here at the bottom of the first.
Now batting for your Raiders, designated hitter, number 10, Colton Seitz.
So that was a 4-3 put out on Hunter Tinsley that also converted into an RBI scoring Daniel Kaler. So Colton Seitz will hope to build the damage as now Matt Hardy is able to reach his way over to third as a result of that bouncer from Tinsley. 0-1 to Seitz. Tries to take a swing, but his bat goes right through it. 0-2. Well, you might have heard that in the background of the broadcast. We have a lacrosse game going right in front of us at Carl Engel Field, which is your lacrosse and football field. And we hear the public address announcer all the way out there.
1.
or from all the way out here rather. Well, Colton Seitz is going to swing and miss, but the good news is that the Raiders are able to score in a run to make it 1-0. Hunter Tinsley grounds out but scores Daniel Kaler to put the Raiders up 1-0. We'll be back right after this. Brian Lawhon will be your leadoff batter for the Estero Wildcats here at the top of the second inning, where your score is 1-0. Riverdale Raiders lead over the Estero Wildcats early in this varsity baseball contest. This is going to be bounced down the third base side foul from Brian Lawhon, who is a right-hander in the batter's box. The 0-1. That bounces low in the dirt. Well, you still hear those announcements going on from the lacrosse field, which is what we were talking about a few moments ago before we went off the air for the break. This is down the first base side, and that's foul. Well, they're announcing the starting lineups over on the lacrosse field, and that announcer, he's getting into it, I'll tell you that. We can hear him easily from the baseball press box. So count now 1-2 to Brian Lawhon. 6, 7, 8 batters are due up here at the top of the second inning. Lawhon looks ahead. Has a nice firm batting stance. Hunter Tinsley is currently competing as a pitcher in his second inning of the ball game as the starter for the Raiders. Here's another one hacked backwards foul. One to nothing is the score. Raiders lead over the Estero Wildcats. And here's a swing and a miss. Strikeout going to Brian Lawhon. It's the second strikeout of the ball game for Tinsley here at the top of the second.
Now betting for Estero, right fielder number 21, Nash Stegman.
Nash Stegman will follow up at the plate. Raiders took the lead at the bottom half of the first. Very interesting way. You had runners on second and third. Daniel Kaler represented the go-ahead run on bag number 3. Hunter Tinsley had a 4-3 putout, but Kaler was able to advance home after that to make your score 1-0 Raiders. And then later on to end the inning, you had Matt Hardy over on third, but he was not able to be scored home. Bottom half of the first ended with a strikeout, a forwards K from Colton Seitz. Pitch plummets in the dirt, and now your count's 2-1. As another pitch comes in, that's high and dry. Tinsley dealing very fast on the mound here. Not wasting too much time in between pitches, I'll tell you that. 3 balls, 1 strike, and this pitch misses up above. And as a result of that, Nash Stegman will take a walk over the first with a base on balls.
Next batter for the Wildcats, designated hitter number 1, Nick Cairo.
Nick Cairo will make his way up from the on-deck circle with 1 out and 1 on for Estero. Tinsley will throw over the first base to check on the runner Nash Stegman, but he is going to be back in time without a dive. Very nice crowd filed in on hand for the Raider fan section down the first base side as this is hammered out to right field. And it's going to be tracked down by your Raider right fielder Tyler Gertman, who had to cruise out to his right to make the snag. And that's out number 2 here at the top of the second.
Now batting for Estero, shortstop number 2, John O'Hearn.
John O'Hearn will hope to keep the inning going here, or the top half of it at least. So despite some of this ominous weather we've been having throughout the afternoon, fans coming out and enjoying themselves some Raider baseball. Students starting their spring break on a high note here at the ball field. Plenty of Estero fans down third base as well. Both fan sections are right next to their team dugouts, so Raiders down the first base line in their dugouts and Estero down left field. A ball one will start off the batter, which once again is John O'Hearn. Here's the deal, and that's outside. We are underway for inning number 2 here in this ball game, where your score is 1-0 Raiders on top over Estero. And varsity baseball action. Thanks to all you fans for tuning in for some great Thursday night baseball action. Here's a pitch that's offsides. Now 3-0 from the pitcher Hunter Tinsley on the mound, and John O'Hearn is looking right in the face of a base on balls. And there it is. John O'Hearn walks on first with another pitch wide. And we head to the top of the order with Evan Wedlock, and we have a break in the action as Tyler Prell is going to step up to the pitcher's mound, and he's going to have a quick word with the pitcher Hunter Tinsley. I guess he's just telling him to relax, calm down a bit here. Estero has runners on second and first.
Next batter for the Wildcats, top of the order, left fielder number 4, Evan Wedlock.
And Evan Wedlock will try to keep things going here for Estero with 2 outs. At the top of inning number 2, he had the plate appearance in the first inning, and that was a fly out to left field. Tinsley's first pitch to him in the second at bat is going to be batted down first, and it won't be put into play. So Tinsley sets up after getting the signal from Prell, fires home, and that's just barely going to miss. Raider defense trying to get out of the top half of the inning here with 2 outs, but Estero has been getting the good luck here to start inning number 2. A base on balls to Nash Stegman, who is now on second, and a walk to John O'Hearn, who is on bag number 1. This is out to right field. This could be a run, but no, they're going to hold back the runners. Throw is going to be cut off by Tyler Prell, the catcher, as the throw came in from the right fielder, Tyler Gertman. Tinsley now in a little bit of a bind, but Estero is in a little bit of a familiar situation here.
Number 6, Zach Neese.
That was a base hit for Evan Wedlock, which now loads up the bases. Well, you remember at the top half of the first, Estero had runners on second and third, but no one was able to score anyhow, and that was also with 2 outs. Tinsley trying to get the Raiders out of the jam. This pitch wobbles away from Prell after a hack and a miss, but it won't go too far. All runners stay at their place here as the bags are packed. Meanwhile, Tyler Prell is going to head back up to the mound and chat a little more with Tinsley. So Prell takes a slow march back behind home plate as a catcher. And Zach Neese is trying to do whatever he can to at least tie up the ball game. A nice hit to the outfield could possibly give Estero the lead, but let's see if Tinsley can shut him down. Here's the 0-1 to Neese. And that's a nice delivery for strike 2. Raiders up 1-0, hoping to get out of this half inning, defending this lead, and they are 1 pitch away from doing it at that. Tinsley with a nice strong wind-up, and that is outside. And it was close as well, just a few inches away from the side of the batter's box, but the umpire says that's going to be too far out. So he'll try again. 1-2. Bouncer to third. This could do it. Joel Velez on third. Wisely steps on third to retire the top half of the second with the bases loaded. So the Raiders defend their 1-0 lead, and they hope to extend it at the bottom half of the second right after this break on the Riverdale Raiders broadcast network.
Number 5, Joel Velez.
Joel Velez will be your opening batter here at the bottom half of the second inning, where the Riverdale Raiders varsity baseball team leads over the Estero Wildcats by a 1-0 score. Velez tries to get a check swing going, makes connection, but it will not be a fair ball. His 0-1 is going to skip down at the feet for a ball. Nate Gillen on the mound for his second inning of hurling for Estero. And the Raiders really did some damage at the bottom half of the first. Scoring in a runner off the bat of Hunter Tinsley. It was none other than Daniel Kaler who came home to score the opening run of the ball game. And later on at the bottom half of the first, Matt Hardy was on third, but he was stranded there. Strike 2 gets in. The 1-2 is down first base. Here's a struggle, and he's out.
Nope, safe.
Oh, he's safe actually.
Drop third strike, couldn't make the throw, safe.
It was a drop third strike. That's what happened. At first, I thought it was foul, but it was a swing and a miss. The catcher, on the other hand, Kevin Long, dropped the ball. It trailed down first.
Number 18. Tyler Gurdman.
And Daniel Kaler was able to hustle over the first without a throw. So great start for Kaler. And he's off to a very hot start. Now, 2 for 2. Had a base hit back in the first, and he now reaches first. And the second inning. So this is Tyler Gurdman coming to the plate, and look at Kaler hustle. I actually got thrown off there a bit. Excuse me. Got my numbers mixed up. That's Velez, not Kaler. So excuse me there. Once again, that's Joel Velez, who was able to get on first, then stretches his way over to second with a nice steal. So Velez on second, and Tyler Gurdman is now on. Had a little bit of a misunderstanding with my scorebook there, but it's all fixed up, and we're ready to move on here at the bottom half of the second. It's an 0-2 count to Tyler Gurdman. Velez on second. He's hopping all around towards the bag, and this is right down the middle. Tyler Gurdman watches it go right by him for strike 3.
Your next Raider batter, center fielder, number 1, Tyler Yeager.
Tyler Yeager, the 8th batter in the Raider lineup, steps in. Nice height, trying to lay down the bunt, and that hits the floor for a ball. We sure have seen a lot of bunting here in this ball game thus far for the Raiders.
Chicks dig the bunt.
Yeah, Chicks dig the bunt. I believe that's actually what one of the Riverdale shirts said. Ooh.
Crap, sorry.
We have stuff falling around all in the press box. This is down the third base line. Beautiful bunt from Tyler Yeager, but it's all good.
Didn't mean to remodel the press box.
It's completely okay. When the press box desk is full, sometimes yeah, things fall around a bit. Got a good laugh out of me.
Being able to premiere on the Tiny Houses show.
The Tiny Houses show, yes. This is great. So bottom half of the second for the Raiders, they lead 1-0. Tyler Yeager, previously, he bunted down the third base line, but it went foul. He tries to bunt again. That skips away for a ball. And it's now a 2-1 count to Tyler Yeager. Joel Velez on second. Two-one to Yeager. Tries to square it down. Up the middle. There's confusion. And the umpire is going to say it bounced foul. Yeah, that went down in the box. Yeah, at first, Yeager was a bit confused. He stood there down the first baseline because he heard the foul call, but meanwhile, the first baseman for Estero, Tanner Sherman, did not, so he scooped up that ball, hustling down the first base side, tried to tag out Yeager, but to no avail. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out at the bottom half of the second. Raiders up 1-0, but Yeager goes down with a fastball blowing by him.
Next batter for your Raiders, second baseman, number 6, Brendan McNabb.
Brendan McNabb, the last batter in the order, steps in as a lefty for the Raiders, and he is going to chip it down first, foul. Coach Pringle coming out of the dugout to make a very nice snag on that ball, just barehanded the bouncer.
All over that.
Yeah, he was all over that ball. You can tell he's had some experience before.
Nice scoop.
Yeah, nice scoop, good form, you name it. He's had everything on that. 0-1, now advances
Nasty curveball.
to strike 2 for McNabb. Nasty curveball on the way here from Nate Gillen on the mound. Previous couple of games, we've seen head coach for the Raiders, Bob Pringle, take infield, outfield with the team, so he hit bouncers, ground balls, and we'll tell you more about it once we head into your third inning. Swing and a miss from McNabb, retires the sides. Joel Velez stranded on second, but third inning we go. Raiders up 1-0. Brody Howe is your opening batter for Estero at the top half of the third inning as the Raiders lead over Estero 1-0 in this varsity baseball contest. Here's a nasty swing and a miss from Howe to make the count 0-1. Hunter Tinsley back up on the mound. Was in a little bit of a jam at the top half of the second inning where Estero was able to load up the bases, but they were not able to bring any runs across home plate, and that kept the Raiders with the lead. And the bags were stranded full. Count now 1-1, and the following pitch is going to be 2-1. Very interesting change in uniforms for the Raiders in this ball game as the pitch is right down the middle. Nice fastball from Hunter Tinsley on the mound. Now has a 2-ball, 2-strike count to Brody Howe. And the next one on the way. Bounce backwards towards the press box, just short of the window. What's interesting is typically the Raiders would wear white uniforms or their garnet red uniforms. Today, anyhow, they're wearing some special gold uniforms, red script Raiders across the chest, red script numbers on the back, white pants with a red stripe running down the sides, and they're wearing gold caps with a red script R on the center for Riverdale. Meanwhile, you're going to see Brody Howe hit with a pitch. Looks like he got him on the left side of the leg.
Next batter for Estero, catcher number 13, Kevin Long.
But yeah, that ball just tagged him off to the left leg. And Howe is now finding himself on first base. Kevin Long hoping to bring him around. Throw over the first is not going to be in time. Brody Howe gets back to the bag with a dive. So once again, nice gold uniforms. I remember last season, I'm not too sure if they do it this year as well, but I remember last year, the JV team used to wear some gold uniforms. Kevin Long starts off with a ball one. And he's going to spark this down to third base side. Past the diving glove of Joel Velez. Matt Hardy scoops it down the line out in left field, and that's going to be a base hit. Kevin Long now on first. Brody Howe on second. And this is all with no outs at the top of the third. Raiders have a 1-0 lead as Tanner Sherman is hoping to change that. Tanner Sherman in his last bat of the ball game, or last at bat rather, was back at the top of the first inning. He suffered a fly out to left field. So Tinsley now having to find a way to calm down here in a little bit of a rough situation. Now with runners on second and first. Estero, they have some very talented bats. Although they are not on the board just yet, they have found some great ways to get on board, whether it's hit by pitch, a walk, base hit, double, you name it. They found all sorts of ways to get runners around in hopes that they can bring a man home to score. Here's a bunt down the first base side, and that'll make it foul 0-1 to Tanner Sherman. Meanwhile, the Estero Wildcats, they are wearing dark blue uniforms in this ball game. Blue numbers on the back, dark blue numbers for a matter of fact, with a red outline. And the design is the same on the front, where it says Estero. They are wearing white pants and dark blue batting helmets with the Estero logo fixed on the center. That's a red script E for Estero. And here's a pitch down low. Prell is going to throw over the first, trying to keep Brody Howe on his feet, but he's going to be back in time. Kevin Long on first for Estero. Trying to square down the bunt. Down the first base side. Oh, he tags the runner. That was Carson Palmquist getting in there, scooping the ball down the line. He's playing first base in this ball game. Anyhow, he is not hitting in the contest, but he's able to scoop up the ball down the line, and he just ran right into Tanner Sherman for the out. Meanwhile, there's one out at the top of the third. Now runners on second and third as they were able to extend. And Brian Lawhon hoping to do some damage here for his team. Raiders up by a 1-0 score. And what has just been a battle between two heavyweights from the looks of it. Brian Lawhon with a pitch down the middle for strike one. Tinsley trying to gal this situation. Here's a big swing and a miss to make the count 0-2. Estero coming into this ball game, and they are a very impressive team, so it's great to see Riverdale start off strong with them and keeping up with the Wildcats. Estero coming into the ball game with a 10-win, 5-loss record. Riverdale with a 7-9 record. And this is a pitch that barely misses, and it's going to keep Lawhon alive at the plate. There were some oohs and ahs coming from the crowd that time, as Raider fans didn't necessarily agree with it, but that extends the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes. The deal home, and there's your strikeout He swung right through a nasty fastball from Tinsley, and that's out number 2.
Batting now for the Wildcats, right fielder number 21, Nash Stegman.
Nash Stegman will try to do some magic on the other hand for Estero.
Come on, man.
First pitch is wide for Nash Stegman. That strikeout on Lahan was the 3rd of the ball game for Tinsley up on the mound. Here's the following deal, and that's gonna get in. Another close one off to the sides. And your count's 1-1. Stegman is the 5th batter of the top half of the 3rd. Your time in Southwest Florida is now 7:47 p.m. in a ball game that began with a first pitch start time of 7:03. This next hurl is going to plummet into the dirt. 2-1. Now to Stegman. And Tinsley's just trying to do whatever he can to finish things out, and he is on the verge of doing it with a swing and a miss. Deuces wild across the scoreboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And this is now the 3rd consecutive inning for Estero, where they had runners on both 2nd and 3rd to end the inning. That is, if Tinsley can finish it right here, and he does. Swinging through another pitch. Back-to-back punch-outs. Both swinging for Tinsley on the mound. And that retires the sides. Bottom of the 3rd, we move on, where your score is 1-0 in advantage of the Raiders. We now head to the top of the batting order to enter your bottom of the 3rd, where Daniel Kaler comes up to the plate to start things off. Raiders lead by a 1-0 score over Estero. And Daniel Kaler on the first pitch streaks it over to the second baseman, where it's caught off the fly by Zach Neese.
Fielder number 9, Matt Hardy.
So Matt Hardy will come up next. Here's his opening pitch from Nate Gillen on the mound. And that'll barely sneak inside. Thank you for joining us from Pringle Field at Riverdale High School. Very dark skies above us as the sun is starting to set behind the clouds. Here's a bouncer to the second baseman, and it's a 4-3 put out on Matt Hardy, as Zach Neese was able to scoop up the bouncer around second base and deliver the throw over the first, where Tanner Sherman was guarding the bag.
Now batting for your Raiders, catcher number 7, Tyler Prell.
So Tyler Prell hoping to avoid this half inning from being a 3-up, 3-down. Opens his at-bat with a ball 1, high and dry. Keeps the bat still over the shoulder, and now he's going to call time as he takes a few practice swings to himself outside the left hand of the batter's box. Here's the windup and the throw, and that's going to be charged down right field foul. Tyler Prell, once again the catcher in this ball game. He watches this pitch go by for a strike, and that's strike 2. At first you saw the catcher for Estero, Kevin Long, jump up, and he was ready to make the throw over the third because he thought that was the strike 3 on Prell, but he lost control on the count, and it's 1-2, but he gets his strikeout. Swing and miss And it's a 3-up, 3-down inning. Daniel Kaler, Matt Hardy, and Prell were retired as we head to your 4th inning right after this. But the good news is that the Raiders are still up by 1.
The Estero Wildcats designated hitter number 1, Nick Cairo.
Nick Cairo is your opening batter as we enter your 4th inning of play in this varsity baseball contest from Riverdale High School. The Riverdale Raiders lead over the Estero Wildcats by a 1-0 score, and a strike one is delivered in to Nick Cairo. From Hunter Tinsley, the pitcher on the mound for the Raiders, now in his 4th inning of hurling, who originally came in as the starter for Riverdale. Nice high fly ball out to right field is going to be gloved up by Tyler Gertman out in right field, who had to move in on it, but made the catch with no problem.
John O'Hearn.
John O'Hearn, the 9th batter in the order for Estero, marches his way up to the plate. And he'll take a strike one up the gut. Well, I don't want to say anything because usually this ends up backfiring on me, but I will tell you this game has been moving on. There hasn't been much of a time really where a half inning has really moved on and on. Let's hope that doesn't change. Count now 0-2 to Hearn. Tinsley trying to finish off. Can he do it? He just might. Bouncer to third. Joel Velez fires across the diamond. The Carson Palmquist guarding first. And he picks up the out. That's a 5-3 on John O'Hearn.
Three and a half innings. Your score, Riverdale 1, Estero 0.
It's not over just yet.
2 out, sorry.
A little bit of a miscommunication, but it's okay, yeah.
Sometimes we just can't contain the excitement.
Yeah. PA announcer gang a little excited. You thought we had the 3 outs instead of the 2 outs. It's okay. We'll just shake that right off and move right along in this ball game. Everyone makes mistakes. Here's a strike one. And second pitch on the way is out the left field, and now we can make that nice announcement.
Okay. After 3.5, Riverdale 1, Estero 0.
So there's your score update. That was Evan Wedlock, who suffered a fly out the left field. It was gloved up by Matt Hardy, and it's a 3-up, 3-down inning for the Raider defense. Bottom of the 4th we go. 1-0, Raiders lead over Estero.
I can't believe I missed that. I don't know what that... Tinsley!
Hunter Tinsley is your starting batter for the Raiders. Bottom of the 4th is where we are now in this ball game, where your score is 1-0 Raiders over the Estero Wildcats in this varsity baseball contest. Hunter Tinsley takes a ball 1. Nate Gillen, the pitcher for Estero, winds and releases, and count is now 2-1 for Tinsley. Well, what I was talking about at the top half of the 4th is just how this game has really moved along quite swiftly, I must say. Third pitch for Tinsley.
The announcer's trying to move on even faster.
Out to right field.
He's trying to get it moving here.
Yeah. The public address system is getting updated here at the music. And this is a fly ball out the right field. We're always having some great laughs in the press box. All kinds of technology up here. I don't think I know how to operate some of this.
Colton Sight!
Yeah, some of the stuff on that public address computer, it's pretty complex stuff. Well, that was a fly out to the right fielder for an out. And going down there was Hunter Tinsley. Colton Sights will be next on the list, and he starts 1-0. Yeah, when they run the music over there, they have all kinds of stuff. They have a nice tablet, a computer, a microphone for the announcements. All kinds of crazy wires going all over the press box table. And what a phenomenal slide out in right field. Nash Stegman went down on his knees on first base, and he was able to make a sliding grab to retire Colton Seitz.
Joel Velez.
And Joel Velez will try to keep things moving right along here at the bottom of the fourth. Raiders have a 1-0 lead. And Joel Velez leans in and takes a pitch low at the knees for a ball. And one right down the middle with a hack and a miss. Here's a pitch up and away. 3-1, or 2-1 rather, to Joel Velez. Well, that's what I like about the game of high school baseball. Anyways, back to my other conversation. It's that pitchers on the mound, they really don't waste too much time in between deals or pitches. I was once watching a Major League Baseball game on ESPN. Here's a ring up. Velez takes one right around the edges, doesn't swing at it, but anyways, I'll tell you more about that story right after this. It's a broadcast full of stories now heading into your fifth inning. Raiders up over Estero by a 1-0 score. Zach Neese is leading things off for the Estero Wildcats as we are now at the top half of the fifth inning, where your score is 1-0, Riverdale over Estero. And his varsity baseball contest. Beautiful fastball right down the center for Hunter Tinsley on the mound. He's been going all game long as pitcher for the Raiders. 0-1. That swing was too far up. Count now 0-2. Well, we carried off from our last conversation. I was talking about how this ball game has been moving along at a very nice speed. It's 8:04 p.m., so we are just about into your hour marker of the contest. And we are at the top half of the fifth as the pitch is just inches outside. 1-2 now is your count to Zach Neese. Well, what I said previously before the break was that in high school baseball, pitchers don't waste too much time in between their windups. And I was comparing that to a Major League Baseball game I once saw on ESPN, and they had a clock. And it was a stopwatch, to be exact. And what they did is they started it after every pitch. And they tried to see how many seconds went by after every deal. And it went 30, 45 seconds, it just kept going, rather. Pitches fouled backwards, 2 pitches were fouled backwards to be exact, and there's a swing and a miss on Zach Neese for the strikeout.
Batting against for the Wildcats, third baseman number 3, Brody Howe.
Brody Howe, the batter, stepping in, and he's ready to go with 1 out, none on here at the top of the fifth. Raiders up by 1 in what has been a pitcher's dual battle in this ball game. Tinsley just throwing him right down the middle, and he does it right there. 0-1 on Howe. Now here I would say about 15 to 20 seconds are wasted in between pitches. Maybe not even that. You can maybe stay around 10 seconds, but either way, that's how you know the high school baseball games are typically a bit shorter than Major League games, and there's a few factors of that as this pitch is wide. It's now a 2-ball, 1-strike count, and this is clocked out to right field. Will it get down? Yes, it does. Right at the warning track, you're going to have that right fielder Tyler Gertman shuck it back into play. It's cut off to the second baseman, Brendan McNabb, and that is going to be a double for Brody Howe.
Batting next for Estero, catcher number 13, Kevin Long.
And Kevin Long will try to drive him in, as Howe is now in scoring position. Now there's a little bit of a talk on the mound here between Prell and Tinsley once again, but Prell will head back to the home plate. Well, there's a few factors. Of course, it's the innings. At least in Florida high school baseball, games are 7 innings. And if a game is tied by the end of 7 innings, we will head to extras. In Major League Baseball, regulation consists of 9 total innings. And it will go to extras if it's tied, but I feel like the game of high school baseball is a little more faster paced, but that's just my opinion. Others may disagree. This one sneaks in. 0-1. Too far down. Count now 1 ball and 1 strike to Kevin Long. Hunter Tinsley winds, and that one is way out of the ballpark down right field. Going over the safety netting and soaring over the heads of everyone in the Raider fan section. Now that Raider section is down first base, and it's right behind the protective safety netting, but sometimes they're not exactly so safe. Swing and a miss, got away from Prell, but he's able to throw over the first to retire Kevin Long. Meanwhile, Brody Howe is going to stay at his place on second.
Next batter for the Wildcats.
Now 2 outs at the top of the 5th.
Tanner Sherman.
And Tanner Sherman will try to come up clutch here. One on and 2 out. 1-0 score. Raiders in the lead over Estero. And this pitch is way overhead. Ball 1. Another one is high and dry. Raiders trying to get out of another half inning with the lead in their favor. It's just been back and forth defense. This is hack backwards foul. Count now 2 balls and 1 strike to Tanner Sherman. Here's the next one on the way, and that's a strike. Count tied up at 2-2. Estero fans down third base side is where they are sitting, and you can hear some chants of encouragement for Tanner as he's hoping to at least keep the inning going, but he won't do it. Swing and a miss with a pitch way outside. And we are still 1-0 Raiders in the lead. Bottom half of the 5th coming up after this on the Riverdale Raiders Broadcast Network. Tyler Gertman hopes to keep things going in a positive direction for the Riverdale Raiders varsity baseball team as we now enter your home half of the 5th inning. Score is 1-0 Raiders over Estero. Tyler Gertman steps in and drives the first pitch foul down right field. Count now tied up at 1-1. Well, the Raiders entering this evening's contest with their heads up high after blowing out the East Lee County Jaguars. And a ball game that occurred on Tuesday night on the road by a 12-1 final score. This was a ball game that wrapped up after 5 innings due to the mercy rule last Tuesday night. He swings through a pitch to make the count 1-2, and the next one will be offsides. The previous game that the Raiders competed in here at Pringle Field took place last Monday night, where Riverdale fell to the Ida Baker Bulldogs by a 5-2 final score. And we now have a full count on our hands with another one to the opposite end of Gertman.
He's fishing for that outside corner. He's not getting it. Be smart here, big boy. Be smart.
Here's your payoff on the way to Gertman, and he misses. Tyler Gertman will march his way to first base with a base on balls.
Batting next for your Raiders, center fielder, number 1, Tyler Yeager.
So Tyler Yeager will try to get on board for the first time of the ball game. He's 0 for 1 on tonight with a looking strikeout back at the home half of the second. Throw over to Gertman on first, comes close, but he dives back in time. Now the Raider team sitting on the dugout, they are cheering on their teammates by clapping in unison. Here's a pitch that goes wild to the backstop. And that's going to be more than enough time for Tyler Gertman to charge his way over to second base. So now Yeager has something good going on here. That wild pitch, of course, was a ball 1. It's very possible that Yeager will try to square down the bunt. And it would make sense. I mean, no outs here at the bottom half of the 5th. You have a runner on second.
He's quick.
Gertman very quick on the base pads. Yeager trying to lay the bunt down, and that is way on the outer edge. Ball 2, and that seems to be where Estero pitcher Nate Gillen is aiming for. He's trying to go for that outside edge here from what we've seen at the home half of the 5th. Yeager still trying to lay the bunt down. First baseman cruising down the first base side. Throw to first will retire Yeager off a 1-3 put out, but Gertman will jog his way to third.
Next batter for your Raiders, second baseman, number 6, Brendan McNabb.
So Brendan McNabb, he can be a big part of this ball game here if he can drive Gertman home. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Throw the first is going to beat out McNabb with a 6-3 put out, but Tyler Gertman will come home to score from third, and it's now 2-0 Raiders at the bottom half of the 5th.
Now batting for your Raiders, shortstop, number 15, Daniel Kaler.
So Daniel Kaler comes up, and right now Raiders are feeling good. You're getting towards your later stages of the ball game.
Get down, Danny, down.
But right now you just can't sit around and count out Estero.
Drive it down, Danny.
Daniel Kaler tries to bunt, but that's going to pop off the bat, and that will fly its way to the backstop. Here's another one to the sides. Count for a ball. Now 1-1 is the count. 2 outs at the bottom half of the 5th, and the Raiders now have a 2-run lead. Brendan McNabb is able to score an RBI 6-3 in the scorebooks. He was able to drive home Tyler Gertman from third to put the Raiders up by 2. Kaler connects, but flies another one outside the ball field down right. And this drops in the dirt. 2's across the scoreboard. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs at the home half of the 5th. Last time the Raiders scored a run, that was back at the home half of the 1st. Hunter Tinsley had a 4-3 put out, but he was able to score home Daniel Kaler from third. So the 2 Raider runs in this ball game, very similar, and a ball 3 will pass by Kaler here. Full count on the way. Pressure high. Chopped forward to the second baseman. throw over the first is going to be in time, so a 4-3 putout is down on Kaler. But through 5 complete innings, the Raiders now lead 2-0 as Tyler Gertman is able to come home from third, courtesy of Brendan McNabb. More baseball to come and your 6 right after this break. Michael Davis, the pinch hitter for Estero, will lead off the Wildcats. Bats at the top half of the 6th inning. Riverdale Raiders now have a 2-0 lead over the Wildcats, and here's a strike right down the middle from Hunter Tinsley, who has been pitching strong all throughout the course of today's ball game as the starting hurler. Davis puts one right up front to Hunter Tinsley. Chucks it over the first where Carson Palmquist guards the bag. That's a 1-3 putout on Michael Davis in his first at-bat of the contest.
Batting next for the Wildcats, right fielder number 21, Nash Stigman. Amazing save.
Mike Davis. He was pinch hitting for Brian Lawhon. Nash Stigman will be next on the order, and he's going to hack this one right back towards the press box window. 0-1. Raiders able to slash a run across the board at the home half of the 5th inning. Brendan McNabb was able to put in an RBI. It was a ground out, but he was able to score Tyler Gertman home from third to extend their lead to 2-0. Count now 1 ball and 1 strike to Nash Stigman. Check swing from Nash, but he's going to hold back. Now ball 2. Well, this is a division rival contest here. Riverdale and Estero, both parts of Class 7A District 12. So this is a huge game if Riverdale can pull out the win. Count now tied at 2 apiece. Raiders currently in 5th of 8 teams in the standings. Riverdale once again 7-9. Estero, they are 3rd place with a 10-5 record, and this is hacked up the middle and out to center field. Tyler Yeager plays it off the 1-hop, and that's going to be a base hit for Nash Stigman. It's his first hit of the ball game, and the second time he's been on the base pads, as he had a base on balls back in the second. And Nick Cairo will be the 3rd man due up here of inning number 6. Keep in mind, this is 6 of 7 innings here in regulation, so if the Raiders can keep playing like they are now, stay calm, don't get too excited, then this can be a huge win that they can lock down right here at home at Pringle Field. Slash and a miss makes it 0-1 for Cairo. 1 on and 1 out. Stigman on first. Check over the first from Tinsley to Palmquist, and that runner Stigman is back in time without a dive. And this pitch is going to be too low. 1-1. Well, earlier today we were talking about that lacrosse game going on right over the center field wall from us at Carl Engel Field. A lot of stuff goes on over there, as this is a line drive down first, but it will not be fair. A little bit of warm-up action going on in the bullpen down right field. So it could be possible that the end of Tinsley's night on the mound is near, but it depends on how he handles himself and how he performs. If he can keep playing smooth, then really who knows? He might pitch into 7th, he might not. It's up to Coach Pringle on what he feels is the best. Grounder to the shortstop. The throw, the first, is going to be bobbled by Carson Palmquist, and that's an error on the first baseman, and E3 in the scorebooks, and now 2 men are on for Estero. Nick Cairo getting on the bags for the first time of the evening.
Now at 4, Wildcats shortstop number 2, John O'Hearn.
John O'Hearn steps into the plate, and this is a big threat here for Estero, tying run on first. And the go-ahead run is batting right now. John O'Hearn, he has had a walk in the second and a 5-3 out in the fourth. Hunter Tinsley is going to look over on second base, trying to psych out Nash Stigman as he is going to trot his way back. He focuses now at the plate and delivers a strike number 1 to John O'Hearn. Right now over at the lacrosse field, well, Riverdale tonight, they are playing Canterbury in lacrosse action. And here's a ball. Right now they're playing the chicken dance over there. Which is also something we like to play here at the Raider baseball fields before each and every game. And typically we play that when the visiting team does their infield-outfield warm-ups. Here's a bouncer to the dirt. Count now 2 balls and 1 strike to John O'Hearn. 2 on and 1 out. Best situation for the Raiders here is if they could possibly get a double play to retire the sides and head into the bottom of the 6th. But let's see if Tinsley can run things right here. Swing and a miss ties the count at 2 apiece now. Well, before each game, Riverdale, they would start with their infield-outfield warm-ups. We just call them I.O. The baseball team refers to the warm-up as that. So Riverdale would start theirs first right here at Pringle Field for every game, and they play Welcome to the Jungle as this pitch is just a few inches too low, and you can tell these players, they don't agree with that.
Come on.
Players don't agree with that. Tinsley looks like he was a little bit surprised by the call. Fans got a reaction from that. That leads the count now full. Payoff. Swing and a miss. John O'Hearn goes down for out number 2. Tries to swing but can't convert.
Next batter for the Wildcats, top of the order, left fielder number 4, Evan Wedlock.
Evan Wedlock is 1 for 3, and he is hoping to make his night a little bit better right here. 2 outs and 2 on. And Wedlock steps up as we head to the top of the batting order for Estero. Leg whip and fire from Tinsley. Check swing, and that's a strike 1.
Yes.
Right now, the fans are starting to get a little more energetic here on both sides of the ball field here. Estero fans getting into it. Riverdale fans getting excited here. This could be a good, nice turning point of the ball game for Estero if they can get some luck going. But right now, the Raiders, they're looking a little bit more in control on the defense as this pitch hits the lower left corner outside. This is going to be chopped foul, count 1 and 2. That one bounced its way towards the backstop. Well, right now, Tinsley, he's just not getting outs as easily as he did previously in this ball game, so it wouldn't surprise me if Coach Bob Pringle put in a new pitcher for the Raiders to close this game out come the top half of the 7th. But right now, they just need to focus on one thing at a time. This is batted deep down left field, and that is out of the stadium. The head coach, Gary White for Estero, hoping to lead his team for a comeback, but it's getting urgent at this point. Riverdale 1 strike away from retiring the sides in what is most likely the most lengthy half inning of a ball game we've had tonight. Timeout is going to be called here by Evan Wedlock. He is battling in a very lengthy at-bat, and now Tyler Prell is going to step up and take advantage of the timeout.
Fans, while we have a break in action, reminder, Raider baseball will be in action.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take the opportunity to talk more about the spring break series for the Raiders. Raider baseball will be back in action for their next game this Monday, March 28th, where Riverdale will see action against the Baron Collier Cougars right here at Pringle Field on the campus of Riverdale High School. First pitch will be released at 7 p.m. for the varsity game, and tickets are $4 a piece. Swing and a miss. That retires this jam. Tinsley finishes off strong with a swinging strikeout to Evan Wedlock to retire the sides. Bottom of the sixth on the way after this on the Riverdale Raiders broadcast network.
Number 9, Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy is your first batter of the home half of the sixth inning, where the Riverdale Raiders lead over the Estero Wildcats by a 2-0 score. Hardy tries to connect with the first pitch but fails to do so, 0-1. Well, if the Raiders can hold this lead for the remainder of the ball game and pick up the win, and we are 6 outs away from the finish of this contest. This is battered through the legs of the third baseman, and it looks like that's an error on the third baseman. Oh, well, came very close. Went right through the legs, but it's debatable, I guess you could say.
Batting next for the Raiders, catcher, number 7, Tyler Prell.
Well, as I saw it, it went right through the legs. I wasn't sure if he caught a piece of the ball with his glove or not, which is why I thought it was an error at first. But if that went right through the legs as I saw it, then that would be a base hit for Matt Hardy to lead things off, and I guess I'll score at that as well. So it's something nice for Tyler Prell to build off of here. After Matt Hardy smoked a base knock through the left field. Check over the first. That's going to go wild. And here goes Matt Hardy on the run. Going to second. Takes a wide turn, but he gets an extra base. So Matt Hardy starts with an 0-1 count, but right off the draw, we see Matt Hardy get into scoring position. That throw from Nate Gillen on the mound. Tried to check over the Hardy on first, but the throw just went way over the head of the Estero first baseman, Tanner Sherman. Sherman had to chase that one down to first base side as it landed up against the gate off to the right side of the Raider dugout down right field. Great chance here for the Raiders to extend their 2-0 lead over Estero, as we very well could be in your final moments of the ball game. Prell trying to signal for the bunt, and that's going to get away from his bat for a ball one as he's able to hold back. Thank you for tuning in with us for tonight's ball game on the Riverdale Raiders broadcast network. Nick Rush giving you the call. What has been a great Thursday night high school ball game at Pringle Field on the campus of Riverdale High School. 1-1 release to Prell. Sherman cruising down the first base side, and that's a foul bunt down left field. That one came very close, but umpires rule it foul. But I'll tell you this, we've seen the Raiders bunt quite a few times throughout the course of tonight's ball game, and they've been doing it very nicely.
Let's get a piece of one here now. Let's get a piece of one. Come on.
Count advances to 1 ball and 2 strikes for Tyler Prell, just doing whatever he can to extend Matt Hardy. Very swift on his feet when running on the base pads. Let's see if Prell can convert on the next pitch. No, he swings and misses. He goes down with a forwards K and the scorebooks for out number 1 at the home half of the 6th.
Now batting for your Raiders, pitcher number 4, Hunter Tinsley.
So Hunter Tinsley will try to get the job done here of extending Hardy from second to third and maybe even home. Now was that a balk?
No, they're intentional walk.
It was actually an intentional walk there. Okay, so Hunter Tinsley's going to make his way on first, and that's an intentional walk.
Batting against for your Raiders, designated hitter number 10, Colton Seitz.
Meanwhile, courtesy runner on first for the Raiders, and that's going to be Ryan Cooper, number 39. So now 2 on for Riverdale. Colton Seitz now at the plate, takes one wide for a ball.
Courtesy runner for Tinsley at first, now running at first base, number 39, Ryan Cooper.
Well, when you compare the 2 overall records between these teams, one may think that Riverdale had the advantage. What an amazing double play there by the second baseman for Estero, Zach Neese. We'll explain that to you in a moment. Well, basically what happened is Seitz, he smoked one right up the gut to the second baseman, Neese, who was able to leap up, snag the ball for an out, and then he dove onto second base to eliminate the base runner Matt Hardy, and that retires the sides. New pitcher on the mound for the Raiders, and we will tell you who it is right after this break at the top half of the 7th. Zach Neese will be the opening batter at the top half of the 7th inning, as the Raiders varsity baseball team is possibly 3 outs away from the conclusion of this ball game. New pitcher on the mound for the Raiders is going to be Colin Azevedo, number 3, a right-handed hurler, who is taking over for your starting pitcher for Riverdale tonight, Hunter Tinsley. And 6 innings of pitching, Tinsley came up with 9 strikeouts. Not a bad work at all, or a bad night's work rather. And this is going to rub right off of the shoulder of Zach Neese, now on first. And now there's going to be a discussion on the mound.
Next batter for the Wildcats, third baseman number 3, Brody Howe.
Brody Howe will follow up. So as a result of this pitching change, Hunter Tinsley, who was originally the starting pitcher once again, will now be moved over to third. So Hunter Tinsley, once again on third, and Colin Azevedo on the mound, starting off throwing a wild pitch to the backstop, and then the second pitch just went right off the left shoulder of Zach Neese, who's now on first, but he's able to bury a strike inside to make the count 0-1. As the next batter, once again, is Brody Howe. Throw over the first, and it comes very close to Neese, but he's able to slide in. Well, he's looking very intimidating over on first base, I must say. Taking a nice runner's stance as if he's about to take off any moment, taking a nice lead off, so you really can't blame Azevedo for throwing over the first and checking over, but for the most part, I feel like Neese is just trying to get into Azevedo's head. Count now 0-2 as the pitch is going to be batted out to left field and not in the play. Here's the deal. That's high up and out the left field in a fly ball. Can they check it down? Yes, they can. Matt Hardy out in left field. moves backwards but is able to glove up the ball in shallow left field for out number 1.
Next batter for the Wildcats, catcher number 13, Kevin Long.
Kevin Long now steps up in a very high-pressured situation with 1 out and a man on first. If you think about it, any pitch can be the last from here on out because this could be converted into a double play, but let's see if the Raiders can pull off a nice way to end the ball game. Here's another throw over to Neese. It's another close one. Neese is taking a very dangerous lead off on first, but he's back with another slide. Another throw to first, and it will not go. Well, I was starting to talk about this before our break at the home half of the 6th inning, but if you compare the two teams' records, you would have thought Estero had the advantage. You would have thought of Riverdale as the underdogs, as a team who is 2 games under 500. Meanwhile, Estero is 5 wins over the 500 win average. Strike 1 buried right down the heart of the plate. As Avito looks prepared, nice violent windup sparked out to center field deep, and it's gloved up by Tyler Yeager out in left center field. Boy, he was in the right place at the right time. Barely even had the move as that ball was flown out towards the warning track in left center.
Pitching now for the Wildcats, number 11, Joey Modivero.
Joey Modivero is going to be your next batter up for Estero. And his first at the ball game, first at bat of the ball game, excuse me, he is a pinch hitter. Leg whip and fire from Azevedo. He's going to fake the throw and toss it over the first base. Well, you really do have to appreciate Azevedo for being a little protective of first base. Right now he just needs to calm down. He's doing a great job, and now the ball is going to scoot away from Tyler Prell as it one hops off the chest protector.
Runner means nothing. You've got to get the batter here. You got 2 dead.
So a runner on second now. As once again, that's Zach Nice over on second. And there are 2 outs. Right now it's all about just putting down that batter for the final out. Not to mention the Raiders at this point with 2 outs. 2 runs is a very comfortable lead in my honest opinion. This was high up in the corners, and the umpire calls it a strike 1, which has a mixed reaction from the crowd. One from Azevedo, hoping to close out this ball game. Down first. Is it fair? Yes, it is. Throw to first. This game is over. 3-1 put out. Retires the sides and the ball game. Raiders win 2-0.
Your ball game. Your final score.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a ball game this has been. Raiders came in once again as the underdog of this division rival contest in Class 7A District 12, like I mentioned just a few moments ago. But the Raiders proved Estero wrong by shutting them out in a 2-0 final score. What a ball game. Raiders really have dominated this contest, and you really do have to give Estero credit as well, because they have shown tremendous fight. And almost every single inning that Estero came up to bat, they put runners in scoring territory, either second or third base. So you have to give them credit. These two teams, very talented, but the Raiders, they're happy. They are running out the right field. having a great time tonight, and a great way to start the spring break series is what I like to call it. So as a result of this Riverdale Raider division rival victory, Raiders increased their overall win-loss record to an 8-9. Meanwhile, you have Estero Wildcats in the third place spot with a 10-6 record. Raiders still in fifth place, Estero still in third. So fans, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to tonight's game, but before we tune off the air, we would like to remind you of our next baseball game for Riverdale. Raider Baseball will be back in action for their next game on Monday, March 28th, where they will see action against the Barron Collier Cougars right here at Pringle Field at Riverdale. First pitch will be thrown at 7. Tickets are $4 a piece. Come out and support your Raiders for Game 2 of 3 matchups and the annual Spring Break Series. So we will see you on Monday night, but for now, we'd like to wish you a very happy Thursday evening. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. The division rival victory for the Raiders makes it even sweeter, I'll tell you that. But have a great start to the weekend. And we will see you on Monday night, live from Pringle Field on the campus of Riverdale High School. This is Nick Rush from Riverdale High School in Fort Myers, Florida, saying thanks for tuning in, and have a good night. One more time, your Riverdale Raiders defeat the Estero Wildcats 2-0 final score.